Good morning. Welcome in person and online to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. We gather here on the ancestral lands of the Dakota people. We've been here for over 150 years, striving to be a church of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your hopes for our world, and your story are welcome here. Due to the cold today, coffee hour will be online only at 10:15. For those in person, we'll have little bags of donut holes to go, so you won't miss out. So if you came here for donut holes, you're still in luck, but we won't gather outside on the courtyard. And you can join us at 10:15 online for online coffee hour, where those who are here can gather online as well. And we are glad to have two special justice forums on Zoom over the next 2 Wednesdays as well. So save the dates for these. This Wednesday at 6:30, you can join Jason Seoul, a self-described as a formerly incarcerated abolitionist. He's currently an adjunct professor of criminal justice at Hamline University and founder of the Humanize My Hoodie project. So an advocate for criminal justice reform. This will be a powerful and important forum. So that's this Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. And then the following week at 6 instead of 6:30, just a little earlier, join Isaiah organizer Jack Dudley from the Rochester area here, as well as church member Gus Braga, for a nonpartisan workshop on local political caucuses, which will be held locally on Tuesday, February 1st. So this workshop will be an opportunity to connect with others around shared values, to navigate some of the logistics of the actual caucus process, if you're not familiar with it, and work for values of justice and equity in our community. So the next 2 Wednesdays, join us online for these forums. This month, our monthly justice partner is Unrestrict Minnesota, working to protect and expand and destigmatize access to abortion care and all reproductive health care in Minnesota through public education, advocacy, and law. So half of our offering for the month of January will go to that. You can give online or at the wooden boxes at the side of the room here. Thank you for your generosity. And just a little COVID update and thoughts. As we know, the virus and the local numbers are starting to rise again. Our practices will continue to provide a variety of ways to gather. A reminder that we expect anyone coming in person is fully vaccinated and boosted as they are eligible. And we have our survey a couple months or several weeks ago now indicated that 100% of those reported were vaccinated, so we feel good about that. Masking is still universally required in the building, and if you're able to get an N95, that's great. This month we'll sing a little less, including today. I'll just cantor the last hymn. We'll have instrumental music instead of congregational singing. We'll continue to hold online opportunities for coffee hour and forums, and we'll need to be flexible and navigate the coming weeks with whatever feels right and safe for our community. So just know we'll continue having services online at the very least, and we'll see what else happens. So thank you for your grace and understanding as we keep each other and our community safe. So take a breath and ground yourself in this moment and this place. Grateful to be alive, grateful to be together. In the words of our minister in the 1870s, the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes, may our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together. Paul will offer our chalice lighting words.
We light our chalice as a people united in love and thirsting for justice. This is the chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our shared past, signaling our intention to listen deeply, reflect wisely, and move boldly towards our highest ideals.
Love is little. When going into a new year, many of us set some goals, and we tend to hit the ground running, only to run out of steam fairly quickly because we couldn't sustain the pace. Today's story is a reminder that perfection isn't necessary, because oftentimes just doing something, anything at all, can fulfill that goal and fill your heart. Ish, by Peter H. Reynolds. Ramon loved to draw. Anytime, anything, anywhere. One day, Ramon was drawing a vase of flowers. His brother Leon leaned over his shoulder. Leon burst out laughing. "What is that?" he asked. Ramon could not even answer. He just crumpled up the drawing and threw it across the room. Leon's laughter haunted Ramon. He kept trying to make his drawings look right, but they never quite did. After many months and many crumpled sheets of paper, Ramon put his pencil down. "I am done." Marisol, his sister, was watching him. "What do you want?" he snapped at her. "I was watching you draw," she said. Ramon sneered. "I'm not drawing. You go away." Marisol ran away, but not before picking up a crumpled sheet of paper. "Hey, come back here with that!" Ramon raced after Marisol and up the hall and into her room. He was about to yell, but fell silent when he saw his sister's walls. He stared at the crumpled gallery. "This is one of my favorites," Marisol said, pointing. "That was supposed to be a vase of flowers," Ramon said, "but it doesn't look like one." "Well, it looks vase-ish," she said. "Vase-ish?" Ramon looked closer. Then he studied all the drawings on Marisol's walls and began to see them in a whole new way. "They do look ish," he said. Ramon felt light and energized. Thinking ishly allowed his ideas to flow freely. He began to draw what he felt, loose lines quickly springing out without worry. Ramon once again drew and drew the world around him. Making an ish drawing felt wonderful. He filled his journals. Tree-ish, house-ish, boat-ish, afternoonish, fish-ish, sun-ish. Ramon realized he could draw his feelings too. Peace-ish, silly-ish, excited-ish. His ish art inspired ish writing. He wasn't sure if he was writing poems, but he knew they were poem-ish. Ponder, pond, ponder, dream yonder, pond, pond, yon, yon, gleam, wander. Ramon. One spring morning, Ramon had a wonderful feeling. It was a feeling that even ish words and ish drawings could not capture. He decided not to capture it. Instead, he simply savored it. And Ramon lived ishfully ever after. During the music, the children will meet me by the door.
Those of you who belong to chalice circles, worship committees, or some of the other groups here at the UU know about the Soul Matters packets that we get that are full of poems, prayers, video links, and book titles related to the themes we have here at church. In looking for inspiration for this reflection, I found a prayer that made me laugh, so I decided I needed to share it with you all. The author is unknown. Dear Lord, so far I've done all right. I haven't gossiped, haven't lost my temper, haven't been greedy, grumpy, nasty, selfish, or overindulgent. And I'm glad about that. But in a few minutes, God, I'm going to have to get out of bed. And from then on, I'm going to need a lot more help. I thought that was perfect. The theme for this month is living with intention. Intention is such a great word. It comes from the Merriam-Webster. It means the thing you do to achieve, or the thing you plan to do to achieve, an aim or a purpose, a determination to act a certain way, to resolve. January is a good month for intention. It aligns so well with the New Year idea of setting resolutions. We look at our lives and decide what we will do to be better. This year, I'm going to walk every day. This year, I'm going to recommit to the Chalice Circle work and do those exercises in those Soul Matter packets. I'll practice gratitude and patience and celebrate each day as a blessing. When I do these things, I will be better. I will truly be the person I want to be. I will truly be the person I want to be. What does that mean? Who is the person I want to be, and how is that different from the person I am now? Personally, this is where the dime store psychology this time of year offers gets a little scary. I want to be more intentional. It's good to commit to the Soul Matter exercises, practice gratitude, and walk regularly. But I at least need to guard against thinking that these activities will make me whole, change my life, or make me better, for two reasons. One is that I probably won't follow through on my intentions or resolutions to the degree I want to. It's easy to celebrate the day as a blessing when you're lying in the comfort of your bed on a January morning. It gets a lot more challenging, however, when later you notice that your son has parked his car in your spot in the garage, and you're outside scraping the ice off your vehicle with a 15-degree below zero wind chill. Yes, life can definitely get in the way of good intentions. The second is that I need to believe that I'm fine just the way I am. Being intentional and having resolutions helps me do better, but they won't make me better. Doing the Soul Matter work may make my Chalice Circle experiences richer and more profound. Walking regularly may give me more energy and increase my lung capacity. Practicing gratitude may help my resolve to look at others with greater compassion. But I need to let go of the idea that these practices will make me better. That's not the point of living with intention. Living with intention means I will be the person I already am and be comfortable with that.
Good morning. It is good to be with you. I invite you to settle in here as we create a place of communal caring and connection. Be enriched by the presence of each other and draw yourself closer into the heart of love at this time of service and reflection. In this time together, we ask that our minds be open, our hearts welcoming, our arms embracing. Here, we honor all who support us in this caring, loving, and all-inclusive ministry. We send gratitude to Linda Thompson, serving as our caring coordinator, arranging care for our members and friends in need. The members of our caring committee are wonderful examples of our compassionate community, holding us up as we go through challenging and happy times. This year has taken a lot out of us. It has taken a lot from us. If during this time of increasing needs in our lives, you are experiencing challenges, we encourage you to reach out for support and help. Many of us may need additional care, whether it be personal pastoral care or other assistance, and we encourage you to reach out to Reverend Luke or myself with that request. In this community, we share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because all people here have value. Each person's experience matters. We lift up those who are experiencing sadness, illness, or loneliness. May the strength and love in our congregation help guide you. We revel in those who are experiencing joys in their lives. May their happiness lift us all, and may their joy filter into all around them. May all of us find love, hope, joy, and healing strength in our community. This morning we hold Gwen Cameron in our hearts as she received the difficult news of her mother's passing. Laura Helton died this morning in Warren County, Ohio. Gwen is truly heartbroken. Please keep her in your thoughts during this challenging time. And we hold Pat Calvert in our hearts as well with the news of her brother's passing on December 28th. John Dunlap of Harstine Island, Washington, died at the age of 89. He was in hospice care and had endured Parkinson's disease for several years. He was Pat's only sibling and will be very much missed. We hold her close in our hearts during this time. And as our UUs have been doing for over 150 years, we are continuing to adjust to an ever-changing world and ways of doing things. Through this time of adjustment, we ask for patience, understanding, and acceptance, and a renewed commitment of service to those in our lives, church, and community. May the faith in the Spirit of life, love for the community of earth, and love for the light in each other be ours now and in all the days to come.
I invite you to take a breath. Feel below you the earth and its ancient turning. Feel above you the sky, and beyond that the stars shining with its ancient light, holding you in this moment, this breath, here, now, alive. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life, source of love, God of many names and beyond all naming. Oh, how we wish it could all be more clear. A new year, a new calendar. We thought maybe would have been swept clear of many things, and what we hoped for would be some new chapter in our collective health. How wearying it can be to find ourselves navigating the same and new questions about risk, about safety. For some, similar questions are always with them because of parts of their identity and a society still learning to be good. And so as we take the first few tentative breaths of a new year, toward who knows what may come. May humility and kindness, compassion and love lead our path toward moments where we remember joy and beauty in the midst of the unknown. May we give thanks for a democracy still intact, though trembling a bit, or for the hard-earned miracles of vaccines and healthcare workers, though they may be weary, for our breath and our life, though it is always fragile. Yet, what a gift, what a miracle, something to celebrate each day that we are here and we are alive. We hold in our hearts this day all those who suffer in mind, in body, or spirit. I invite you to bring the names you're holding in your own hearts this day in joy or in sorrow, celebration or concern, and silently or aloud now in this time and space to speak their names. For all the names spoken and unspoken, may we all be held in love and grace. These words of meditation are from Frederick Buechner. From the simplest lyric to the most complex novel, literature is asking us to pay attention. Pay attention to the frog, or pay attention to the west wind. Pay attention to the boy on the raft, or the lady on the tower, the old man on the train. In sum, pay attention to the world and all that dwells therein, and thereby learn at last to pay attention to yourself and to all that dwells therein also. May it be so, and amen.
The first reading is called Plague Year by Nikita Gill. As the plague swept across to England, Shakespeare carefully crafted the majesty of King Lear, the misery of Macbeth, and the tragedy of Antony and Cleopatra before year's end. The determination to create immortal work also found Isaac Newton sequestered in his room, playing rainbows across his walls with prisms, creating cosmic theories using apple trees. And the must still sat on the shoulder of Edvard Munch during the Spanish flu, his body riddled with disease, and yet his self-portraits captured more than his gaunt face. They showed his burning urge to stay alive to paint another masterpiece. Yet to me, no inspiration finds its way. Instead, I look more often out my windows to the roads, to an empty horizon of streetlights. It is a small act of protest just to be here and still be alive. This, too, is worthy living, and it will do just fine. The second reading is Burning the Old Year by Naomi Shihab Nye. Letters swallow themselves in seconds. Notes, friends tied to the doorknob, transparent scarlet paper, sizzle like moth wings, marry the air. So much of any year is flammable. Lists of vegetables, partial poems, orange swirling flames of days. So little is a stone. Where there was something and suddenly isn't, an absence shouts, celebrates, leaves us space. I begin again with the smallest of numbers. Quick dance, shuffle of losses and leaves. Only the things I didn't do crackle after the blazing dies.
When you try to track it all, figure everything out that you ought to do, it can be quickly overwhelming these days, can it not? How many days of isolation was it? And how many months before a booster, depending on what type you had? What type of masks, when? How long of interactions is a close contact for exposure? What is the risk based on the current health conditions I have? Are we flattening the curve again? Because that didn't work the first time. And maybe you feel like a recent post responding to the changing guidance from the CDC, someone wrote, and maybe you know this song, these lyrics from maybe a couple decades ago. The CDC now recommends that you get up in the morning and you step outside and you take a deep breath and you get real high and you yell at the top of your lungs, "What's going on?" Thank you, Alanis Morissette, fierce feminist singer-songwriter. Each morning we wake up to a world where it isn't always clear what to do, how to act, where to go, and if so, how. It's as if each day is a new set of rules, expectations, still, after so many months. And we wonder, what year is it? Still 2020? The calendar has turned and so much has changed and so much is the same. And you get up in the morning and say, what's going on? The calendar space on our fridge in our home is still empty as we await the new calendar filled with pictures of the previous year's months. We fill them up and we order that. And so that space on our fridge right now is held vacant, which comes with its own emptiness and uncertainty of what this year will bring. And as always, we have both pen and pencil nearby, knowing that if we're truthful, we pencil everything in because it's subject to change. Or if written in pen, be prepared to scratch things out. A new year often invites us or expects of us grandiose, large resolutions. This is the year I'm going to be completely carbon neutral, or I'm going to run 18 marathons even though I haven't trained at all, or I'm going to be and do all the things I've ever wanted to be and do. This is the year. Often these resolutions, which can have some good basis of trying to be more of the person you want to be, to improve, to grow, to deepen some longing you have for the life you want to live, often they can be so large or overwhelming, it's kind of setting yourself up for failure. On New Year's Eve, a colleague of mine wrote, well, I have 3 hours to do those 5Ks I was going to do. Whoops. So the practice of resolutions for a new year, of setting intentions, which is the theme for our month, can be a good practice. And it's also important to keep things in the context of reality, which in the wider culture can be in short supply these days. Maybe instead of reaching beyond the limits of our own being, which can be a cruel trick on the soul, we can reflect a bit more carefully, thoughtfully, soulfully on what is actually possible within reach in our life, our reality. What can we hold enough to give us a sense of growth and hope without an undue burden of what weighs us down? You don't have to discover gravity or write Macbeth or create whatever else was possible to some during plague conditions of generations past, because we also know that the only way that humanity continued at all is that thousands, millions of common everyday people simply survived. What today's poet called a little act of protest to just be alive, which is worthy living. And in her words, it will do just fine. Years ago, in a nerdy theological sort of debate between religions of upbringing, a loved one and I were talking about the difference between grace and works. You know, everyone's normal, everyday theological conversations that you all have too, I'm sure. So we summarized that I had grown up in a religion that could, at times, seem to say, you make a lot of mistakes, but God loves you anyway. Grace. And then we summarized that she had grown up in a religion that could, at times, seem to say, you make a lot of mistakes, and God wants you to do better. Works, right? Grace and works. And of course, whether one uses those religious terms or understandings or not, it seemed obvious to us that at its best, and at the best of both those traditions, spirituality and religion offer both. That people make mistakes, and you're still beloved. And you should keep trying to grow and do better in life. To find that middle ground of both, that balance, where we're neither excused nor condemned for mistakes, and that eternal, immortal love of God, of earth, of each other is what holds us and helps us do the next right thing and keep trying. That's a place where you can actually live in reality, maybe. Maybe instead of setting some perfect ideal of a goal, it's better to set resolution-ish things or intention-ish hopes, as Amy read. Something that finds that balance between our greatest sense of wanting to grow and be and do and the realities and the context of our everyday living. To not sell ourselves short, to give too many excuses, to not improve our lives or the world around us, but also not set some expectation beyond what is possible. What if you just started with today, brought it down, boiled it down to something maybe just this morning? This morning, I'm going to stay awake through the entire sermon. We'll see. Good luck. Or today, I'm going to pay attention enough to taste my lunch. And I'm going to offer a prayer of gratitude to the farmer and the earth and the cook, right? Just make it to lunch today. Maybe that's intention. Or today I'm going to sit down and open this book I've been meaning to read for 15 minutes or for an hour or whatever, or until some kid needs me or the laundry buzzes or I get tired, whatever it is. Or today I'm going to paint something. I'm going to cook something, or I'm going to play something, or I'm going to call someone I've been meaning to call, or I'm going to help in some way, something specific, something manageable today. Maybe that's intention. Intention setting is a process. It's a practice. It's not perfection. In one of its earliest meanings, intention seems to mean simply turning your attention toward something, paying attention to something. That's all spirituality is ever really asking of any of us, inviting us, encouraging us to pay attention, to be present, to notice ourselves, to notice one another, to notice the earth, to notice beauty and brokenness, compassion and sorrow, art and suffering and joy and grief, and the simple common gifts of each and every day. To notice the ways we survive, and what a miracle it can be some days, where some part of the soul keeps us alive to be able to be astonished by the world. Or as Mary Oliver would remind us in part of her poem, Sometimes, her poem entitled Sometimes, she gives this gem of poetry. Instructions for living a life: pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. That's it. Pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. In that sense, intention requires you to stay in the moment, to not move too far beyond it into some grandiose goal, but to be here now, not moving too far ahead, which can disconnect the soul from life, between where it is and where it's asked to be. From today's story, I love the imagery of the crumpled gallery of this little sibling. I love that phrase and imagery, a gallery of crumpled things, a hall dedicated to imperfection, mistakes, things not going how we thought, how we dreamed, how we imagined. And there on the wall of what felt not good enough to one is an exhibit exalted by a loving heart, finding the beauty-ish in it all. We all need someone like that, something like that, reminding us of the importance of process and practice, that mistakes and failures are okay, and sometimes we keep improving, and sometimes we simply learn to let some things go. Reminds me of another favorite poem by Alice Walker, I Will Keep Broken Things. She writes, in my house there remains an honored shelf on which I will keep broken things. Their beauty is they need not ever be fixed. I will keep broken things. I will keep you, pilgrim of sorrow. I will keep myself. Sometimes the soul can feel like a crumpled gallery of things not quite the way we hoped for, not quite what we expected, not quite the vision, the dream, the plan of what it was, what we were supposed to be like, look like, feel like. And what if that's okay? What if penciling things in on this new calendar is an open process, an expansive way to begin a year, It's an act of humility, an act of possibility, of intention setting in the most humble way. That's not about setting something in stone, but beginning to put together some simple set of directions, some little guideposts to guide your day even a little bit for what might be good to give our attention to. So much of any year is flammable, writes the poet. Lists of vegetables, partial poems, orange, swirling flames of days, so little is a stone. Where there was something that suddenly isn't, she writes. An absence shouts, celebrates, leaves a space, and I begin again with the smallest of numbers. Begin again and again with the smallest numbers, the simple gifts of each day. Rooted in a love that is little, that grows our spirits, love does what's right, because heaven knows there's far too much in this world to try to hold it all. There's far too much to navigate any morning at all, any hour, let alone an entire year, to not yell out the door in the morning, what is going on? So just start with lunch. Just pencil it in. The plans might change and get tossed aside. It's okay, because somewhere between excuses for stagnation and condemnation for failure, that's where our lives are lived. That's where our days are held. And simply staying alive through plague and cold and despair, and still being able to find beauty and hope and love and laughter and art, that's a miracle. It's worth celebrating. The gift of coming down where we ought to be till we come round and turn round right again and again. That is worthy living, and it'll do just fine. The hymn which I invite you to remain seated for and hum along with is Simple Gifts. Gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. Turn, turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn, turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning we come around right. I invite you to rise as you're able. Place a hand on your heart or towards the sky or the earth in gratitude. Pay attention, be astonished, and tell about it. That's all you're asked. Get through this moment, this day, and out of that possibility grows. May that be so, and amen.